Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, everybody. What's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brien Hanley, and welcome back to Big 12 Insiders, Big 12 Recap Show. Appreciate everybody being in here. Man, it was a good weekend for the Big 12. There was a few surprises that happened in the Big 12. A lot of people around the country are now starting to talk, well, is the Big 12 any good? You know how that talk goes. My thing is, I think there's good football teams. Maybe it's not as good as what we initially thought, but I still think there's some very, very good football teams within the conference. They're just beating each other up. And that's what happens when you have a lot of parity in the conference. So I don't want to say that the conference isn't good because I still believe that it is. I just think there's a lot of parity, and it is truly, truly wide open for anybody to win, man. So we are going to break down what we saw this weekend. But before we do, remember, everybody, remember to continue to like, follow, subscribe, and comment. We love going back and forth with all of you guys, man. Even if we don't agree, which that's okay. We don't have to agree. I love going back and forth with you guys. So we're growing like crazy. It's all because of you and your participation. So I appreciate all of it from you guys. I really, really do. So let's get into this thing. So first things first, first game, K-State just whips Oklahoma State. This is the second week in a row that Oklahoma State has been physically manhandled. Kansas State ran for 300 yards. Avery Johnson had a huge bounce back week. I told you all that I'd seen this before. Kansas State comes out with a clunker, comes back home, and then dominates their opponent. That's exactly what happened. But yeah, Avery Johnson, after not dealing with adversity at BYU, comes home, gets comfortable. 319 total yards, 5 touchdowns, had an amazing game. Kansas State, like I said, ran for 300 yards. DJ Giddens not getting enough credit, not only within this conference, but around the country, of being one of the best running backs in the country. Period. End of story. DJ Giddens, one of the best running backs in the country, and just ran all over Oklahoma State. Here's the thing about Oklahoma State. I'm trying to figure this out. Mike Gundy's a really good football coach. There is no denying that. However you feel about him, he is a great football coach. But Ollie Gordon comes out in this game, 72 yards in the first quarter, and their offense is cooking. The run game is cooking. Ollie Gordon's doing his thing. He runs over a guy, stiffs arms another guy, jumps over a guy. He is cooking. And then all of a sudden, he gets 2 touches in the second quarter, and his touches are limited for the rest of the game. Now, before anybody says anything, well, he was hurt. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. And here's the reason why. If Ollie Gordon was hurt, then he shouldn't have played another snap the rest of the game. Because I commend all coaches. If you got a guy that has a future and he's nicked up, then by all means, shut him down. But Ollie Gordon kept playing. It's not like he sat out the rest of the game. Well, they just gave him spot duty. Well, why are you giving him spot duty if he's hurt? If he's hurt, don't play him. Because here's the thing, people. It doesn't take an accumulation of hits for you to get hurt seriously. It only takes one play. So if that's the thinking, is that, well, he was hurt, so we didn't want to give him the ball very much, well, then why did he get the ball at all? If he's truly hurt and he wasn't going to be effective. That's my whole thing. And you guys know me. I don't give excuses for guys being hurt if they're out there for bad play. There's nothing written that says, hey, you're hurt, so it's okay not to play well. There's nothing that says that. If he was hurt, don't play him. If he wasn't able to be effective. But you have him out there being a decoy and then running the ball with him every now and then. First of all, give Kansas State credit. They made some adjustments and just said, yeah, Oklahoma State, you're not going to run the football anymore. They made those adjustments, and it worked. But Oklahoma State also took the ball out of Ollie Gordon's hands, I apologize, and said, Alan Bowman, go win it. And Alan Bowman couldn't win it. 364 yards of some of the most empty stats I think anybody's heard of. Look, the score was 43-20, and that game wasn't that close. And if anybody watched it, they'll tell you the exact same thing. physically manhandled. I'm just trying to figure out what the game plan was. Look, if Ollie Gordon was hurt, and I'm not denying that he's hurt. I'm not saying that at all. My thing is, then sit him down. But don't have him out there being a decoy because it didn't help you. Either he's good enough to go and you can give him the ball, or he's not good enough to go. Because, again, if he was a decoy and you never gave it to him, okay, maybe that. But you did. So I don't understand. It just didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me. But again, Alan Bowman wasn't able to beat Kansas State. It's some of the most empty stats that you're ever going to find in a college football game. Absolute blowout. Again, 43-20. The game wasn't that close. It was a beatdown. It was an absolute beatdown. BYU goes on the road and survives last-ditch comeback by Baylor. Look, BYU came out smoking. Everybody doubted them from the week before. People were saying their win against Kansas State, it was all fluky. It was just basically a bad 6 to 7 minutes by Kansas State. Well, they come out firing. They immediately go up 21-0. And I'm like, holy smokes, this is over. Well, Baylor starts to play. It's almost like they didn't realize that the game had started. Baylor starts playing. And there's 31-14 at the half. And then Baylor, they catch fire and they get the momentum and they did not quit and they kept fighting and they kept fighting and they kept fighting. And they actually had the ball in BYU territory with an opportunity to try and go win the football game at the end. Give Dave Aranda's team credit. It wasn't enough. You can't get down in a 21-0 hole at home. BYU not being able to run the ball effectively or on third down. Look, if they could just run the ball, they could have run the clock out and won the football game, but they couldn't do that. But give Baylor credit for not quitting, but also give BYU credit. An emotional win at home, going on the road, an unfamiliar opponent, and they won. That's all you can ask for. They went out and won the game. So hats off to them for doing that. But also, let's give a little hats off to Baylor because I think at 21-0, Twitter Wire had Dave Aranda fired at halftime. That's what happened. And they did not quit. So you got to give them credit for that. Next game on the agenda, I don't know if it was an elimination game per se, but TCU goes on the road, games at Arrowhead, and they beat Kansas. Look, neither one of these defenses were worth anything today. Kansas, that was kind of surprised. That was one of the things that had been fairly consistent. I know they gave up that late lead last week for the last couple of weeks, but their defense has been okay. Not spectacular, but it's been okay. But Josh Hoover just threw the ball all over the place. Just threw it all over the place. What did he throw for? 356, 3 touchdowns. And Kansas was never able to get it under control. Here's the thing. And I know people are going to say that I'm picking on Kansas because I went to Kansas State. Okay, fine. Say I'm picking on them. But tell me that I'm lying. The coaching staff, in my opinion, is part of this problem. Jalen Daniels is struggling. He's struggling. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We can say it's because the offensive coordinator left, the new one coming in, they're not on the same page. Whatever the case may be, you have a struggling quarterback. They are not capable of playing complementary football. They couldn't stop TCU. How about you just run the football? They had 35 total carries, should have been 55. I just don't. I'm trying to figure this out. And again, Highshaw and Devin Neal, Highshaw averaged 6.1 or 6.5 a carry. Neal's averaging 5 a carry. Why not just continue to run the football? That's not what they want to do. They got to throw it. I don't understand it. Again, your defense struggling to stop them. How about you give them a break? How about you keep them off the field? It's not like TCU has some great defense. We know that they absolutely don't. So why don't you just line up and run the ball? And again, to win a game, if you have to run it 65 times, don't you just do that? Just run it until they can't stop you or make them stop you. But that's not what KU wants to do. And now you're 1-4. I just don't understand. There's way, way more talent on that Kansas roster than to be 1-4. Period. End of story. Way more talent. And I mean, here you sit. You haven't even beat a FBS team yet. Lord have mercy. I don't know what's going on there. But give credit to TCU. After getting their head beaten in last week where their coach gets kicked out of the game, which is crazy, TCU goes on the road trying to salvage their season, and maybe they do. Maybe they do. It's a big win for them. 38-27. I don't know. KU, that's not a good look. Not a good look, but give some credit to TCU. Give a lot of credit to TCU, not just some credit. Give a lot of credit to them. Going on the road, salvage their season, good win. Iowa State, look, there's not a whole lot to talk about this game. It was kind of a workman-like victory for Iowa State. I think Iowa State was very, very vanilla on offense. I will give Houston some credit for fighting on defense. But look, in first quarter, it was 3-0. The game essentially was over. Houston hadn't scored a point in 2 weeks, which is crazy in this day and age in college football for you to be shut out 2 weeks in a row. A lot of problems over at Houston. But look, Iowa State, best team in the conference so far. Good for them. Like I said, they were extremely vanilla. And it was just, I don't know, just a workman-like victory. They did what they needed to do, just try to get out of as healthy as possible and move on. Look, next game, I can admit, y'all know me. I will admit when I am wrong. I thought UCF would beat Colorado by 2 touchdowns. I thought the game would be a shootout, which essentially it was, but I didn't think there was any chance that Colorado would be able to stop UCF from running the football. Didn't think there was a chance in hell that would happen. And I didn't think Colorado would even try to run it enough to be effective. Turns out Colorado stopped UCF from running. They ran. Look, they only got outrushed by 49 yards. If you're going to tell me that Colorado is going to only be outrushed by UCF by 49 yards, well, yeah, they're going to lose. Now, UCF had 4 turnovers, but Colorado capitalized on them. Isn't that what a good team is supposed to do? 48-21, and they beat the brakes off of them. Like I said, they held them to 177 yards rushing. If you would have said that Colorado team or this Colorado team could hold UCF to 177 rushing, you would be lying. Nobody thought that. Nobody thought that. And they did. And what we're also going to do, people, is we're going to stop this narrative of every time Colorado wins a football game, we're going to say that the team that they're playing wasn't any good. We're going to stop that right now. Okay? We don't have to like Deion Sanders. We don't have to like Shedeur. We don't have to like Colorado. But every time they win, it can't just be that the other team stinks. Okay? Because nobody thought that UCF stunk. I'm not saying that you thought they were world beaters or were a potential of winning I don't think anybody thought that. But that doesn't mean they stink. So we got to stop with that. And maybe it turns out that all the teams that UCF does stink and the teams that Colorado have beaten, not Colorado State does stink. Maybe it does turn out to be that way. But as of right this very second, that is not the case. And nobody, look, they were 15-point underdogs going on the road, and they end up winning 48-21. Here's the last thing I'll say about it. We talk about the turnovers, and they took advantage of turnovers. Well, they stopped UCF from running, and they said, KJ Jefferson, beat us with your arm. He's not capable of doing that. That's not what he does, and he didn't. You get 4 turnovers, and they took advantage of them. The game last week between BYU and Kansas State, everybody was giving BYU credit, and they should have, for causing the turnovers and then capitalizing. Isn't that what good teams do? That's what everybody said. Why can't you say the same thing about Colorado? I'm just going to say that. If it's good for somebody else, why can't it be good for them? Maybe they're not a good team. I don't know. But I do know we can't be hypocrites, and we won't be hypocrites on this show, on this channel. Y'all know that. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I was wrong. I know I was wrong, but good for them. Prove everybody wrong. But yeah, you can't say that good teams take advantage of turnovers, but when Colorado does it, oh, UCF stinks. Sorry, not going to let you do that. Not going to let you do that. Great road victory for Colorado. Great road win. Look, the next game might be the game of the day if it wasn't for that craziness that happened between Alabama and Georgia. Texas Tech outlasts Cincinnati The team's going up and down the field. Now, the first thing is I'm just not sure about either one of them. I'm not sure. Neither one of these defenses are any good. They're just not. They went up and down the field with no resistance. Y'all know my famous line. The teams were doing wind sprints up and down the field. And that's exactly what happened. Tech could throw it. Tech ran it. They did whatever they wanted. Now, Cincinnati ran it a little, but Brendan Sorsby threw it all over the football field. He's not getting enough credit. Didn't get enough credit from me for being a great quarterback. Not getting enough credit for being one of the better quarterbacks in this conference. He threw, what was it, for 400? There it is, 426, 4 scores. Just did exactly what he wanted. That's the only thing that, or I shouldn't say the only thing, but one of the things about Tech, they look like they're obviously playing better on offense, but the defense I thought would be better. It's just not there yet. It's not there yet. But the one thing I want to do is give credit to Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a better football team than I anticipated. Good for them. Now, their schedule gets tougher. So for them to be able to get bowl eligible, it's going to be a battle, but I think they're there for the fight. I believe they are there for the fight. Good for them. But Tech, you win the game. Again, you did whatever you wanted on offense. You ran it. Taj Brooks, again, one of the best running backs in this country. But here's the thing, Big 12 teams that don't give your running back the ball enough. Taj Brooks, 32 carries, 176. Imagine that. Come on, Oklahoma State. Come on, KU. What are you doing? Give your guys the ball that are running well. Give them the ball. I don't know. That's just me. That's just me. And then the last game, I stayed up. I watched it. Arizona. Utah fans aren't going to like this, but you know I'm telling the truth. Utah got physically beat. They got beat up by Arizona. They didn't allow you to run the football. They came to Utah and beat you up. Now, before the excuse train comes and we start talking about, well, it was a backup quarterback. Until Cam Rising plays, this guy's not a backup quarterback. So stop with that, okay? We need to stop with the Cam Rising talk. Until he gets out there, this is your starting quarterback moving forward. So first, I think you got to get used to that, number one. Number two, don't let your eyes lie to you. You know what you saw. You weren't able to run the football. Just like last week in Stillwater. When the game got tight, we knew that Utah physically beat up Oklahoma State. We watched it. Same thing happened here. We saw Arizona say, you're not going to run the football. Even though I think there were still opportunities for Utah to try. They just didn't run it enough. Why do you have your young quarterback throwing it 40 times? I don't know. I think the first 2 drives and being stopped when you went for it on 4th down played into the rest of the game, you not running the football enough. I think there were more opportunities. But again, Isaac Wilson, having him throw it 40 times, I'm not sure. Matter of fact, I am sure. That's not the recipe for Utah to win. It's just not. You ran it 25 times last week in Stillwater. Bernard had 91 yards on 16 carries. Give him 25 carries. See what happens. I don't know. And maybe you say, well, the game got out of hand. Well, the game only got out of hand at the end of the game. And give Arizona credit. They didn't allow you to run the football. It's not like Fafita threw the ball all over the place. He didn't have 400 yards passing. He had 197 yards. Hell, what was it? 76 of them were on the last 2 throws of the game-winning drive. Yeah, that's what happened. And 3rd and 11, 2 3rd and 11s, not 1, 2. The first one I think was more impressive because he's literally getting bent in half by the pass rush and corks one down the field, 41 yards. And then the second one, maybe it was equally as impressive because he's on the run. 3rd and 11. Again, the crowd is incredible at Utah. They're screaming their heads off, and he throws one 35-yard touchdown. How guys get behind you in that situation, I don't know, but scramble drill, it is what it is. Fafita made the plays. T-Mac didn't go ballistic. He had 50 yards receiving. This was just a good team win by Arizona, and they physically beat you, Utah. You can admit that. It's okay. It's okay. It happens. You did it to Oklahoma State last week, and you had it happen to you. It's Big 12 football. It's big-time football. It's what it is. So it was a good week for the conference as a whole, I thought. Like I said, there were some surprises. There were some teams that I don't know. I don't want to say the teams have quit, but they got to find some identity. KU's got to find an identity. Way too much talent for this to be happening to them. Coaching staff's got to get it together. They got to dig deep. They got to dig deep and figure something out there. I thought TCU did a great job to battle back. Kansas State did a great job to battle back. I thought BYU, while they can't run the ball when they need to, I thought that was very, very impressive. Like I said, to go to Baylor after all the emotion, getting ranked, everybody talking about you all week long, and then you jump out to a huge lead early for you to be able to withstand that when basically all the emotion has finally worn off, and then you got to play and go win football. They were able to do that. Good for them. Texas Tech, good win. Colorado. Again, I'm just not going to let people just diminish what they've done. I'm not saying all these teams are great, but we got to stop saying that everybody that they beat is terrible. It's just not fair. It's not fair to those kids, not fair to the coaching staff, not fair to the fans. We got to stop doing that. So crazy week in the Big 12, man. Crazy week. We'll be back. Power rankings come out tomorrow. You'll be surprised. You will be surprised. That's all I'm going to tell you. So again, man, I appreciate everybody being in here. Thank you. Remember to continue to like, follow, subscribe, leave those comments, and also make sure you hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. We appreciate you and love you. We will talk to you soon.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.